Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to highlight one red flag for Altria Group stock investors and one green flag for Altria stock investors. So let's start with the red flag, and that is the long-term industry volume outlook for the cigarette industry. Cigarette industry volumes were down 8% in the first half of this year. So that's certainly a red flag for Altria Group, which generates a significant amount of revenue and profitability from cigarette sales. So the CEO responding to this news saying, remember that in the COVID pandemic, we actually saw what we believe added nicotine occasions to adult smokers' day. As we came out of the pandemic and you saw mobility increase, you would expect some of those nicotine occasions to come back out of their day. And I think that has been exacerbated by the cumulative effect of inflation. So let me try to break this out a little bit. When people were working from home, learning from home, entertaining from home, doing everything from home, the opportunity to smoke cigarettes was increased, right? At your home, there's no rules about non-smoking section or smoking section, right? You go somewhere else, almost everywhere you go, there's rules about you can't smoke here, you can't smoke there, you can't smoke there. And so it limits your opportunity to have a cigarette. And so clearly, if you're spending less time in a place where you're allowed to smoke more freely, and you're spending more time in places where you're not allowed, it's going to bring down the rate that you consume cigarettes. Okay, that's what essentially the CEO is saying. But that doesn't make it any less bad news for you know Altria stock investors. It's still bringing down consumption, and it's not like the world is going to go in the opposite direction where they're going to start making it more available, more freely available places to smoke cigarettes. So, unfortunately, that's the circumstance that they face. And then that's being worsened by rising inflation. Consumers have less money to spend, right? They're paying more for food, more for gas, more for rent, more for everything else, and that's leaving less money, less discretionary spending available for cigarettes. And so that's making the situation even worse. So, to counter that, the company in the first quarter put in some extra investments behind a couple of pocket areas where they saw a competitor get aggressive with menthol offerings and where we saw consumer under pressure and they started looking to discount more often. So, to counter those downsides, the company decided to lower prices, offer some discounts in certain areas to help boost volumes of cigarette consumption. All right, so now that I've talked about the red flag, let's talk about the green flag for Altria stock investors, and that is the growth in the vapor products, vaping, right? So they purchased a company that's going to help with that, Enjoy. They've owned this business for 2 months now. And so the company is talking about some of the opportunities here, and the focus will be on the pods based product, the Ace Enjoy. Right now, only 3,000 stores currently in distribution. In the top three SKUs, and about 10,000 stores carry the pods but no devices. So the focus will be both on filling those distribution gaps and improving visibility. That's really the strength of Altria, right? It has a strength in that it knows the customer, right? It knows the tobacco, the nicotine consuming consumer very well, and it has a very strong distribution network. It's been doing this. It has relationships with stores and places and merchants for decades, and so it can if it can effectively shift from the cigarette consumption model to the vaping consumption model, then the company can put itself on firm footing going forward. But that transition is going to be difficult. That transition is going to be the key for this company. And this is one green flag for Altria stock investors, that they are hopeful that this area of the business can grow at or equal to the rate that the cigarette side of the business is declining to offset the impacts, and so transition without experiencing significant declines in profitability. Okay, so that's it for this video. One green flag and one red flag for Altria stock investors. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.